G'day folks, it's Phil from 15 Minute Guitar Practice here. Today I'm running through 6 key forms of the blues. Now blues isn't normally that complicated, but it's important I run through these key forms with you because some of them aren't that familiar to people. And when I say forms, I mean like the chords and the order in which the chords appear. And also, particularly with form 6, it's one of those scenarios where the minor pentatonic just isn't going to help you. And I see a lot of players, particularly jam nights and things like that, struggle to know what to do when faced with that. I'm also going to give you some licks so you can add into your vocabulary over these variations of the blues. So let's jump in and take a look. So form 1 is the standard 12-bar blues. Now I'm not going to bother going through that because you should know it. And there's plenty of information out there about it. Blues is generally accepted to be a 1-4-5 progression or variations of that. And if you are confused by that phrase or some of the Roman numerals you see, it's actually quite simple. If we're in the key of A, that's our 1 chord. Okay, so the root of that chord is going to be our root for our key. And if you want to find the 4 chord, you simply walk up the major scale and count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is the root of this chord, which is called the 4 chord because we counted up 4 to get to the root of that. And the same with the 5 chord. Count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that root note gives you, well, that note gives you the root note of your 5 chord. So if we're playing in the key of A, our 1 chord is A7 or A9, either one of those. They both sound really bluesy. Our 4 chord is D7 or D9, interchangeable, and our 5 chord is E7 or E9. Okay, stuff you already know, I know, but just in case any newbies come in through the door, just want to give them a heads up on that. Form 2 is a variation of our 12-bar blues, but instead of going to the 5 chord in bar 9 and then moving to the 4 chord and then going back to the 1 chord, we actually do this. We go to the 2 chord, then the 5 chord, and then the 1 chord. So that's a 2-5-1 turnaround. Now, most of the time, in the blues, the 2 chord obeys the rules of chords in the key. If you don't know about chords in the key, then see this video here, and that will fill you in. But if you obey the rules of chords in the key, the 2 chord is always a minor chord. B minor is our 2 chord, and then our 5 chord, as we said, is already E7, and then our 1 chord. Now you may have heard this already and not really picked it out. Quite tellingly, you usually pick it out by hearing the bass player play something like. And an example of this can be heard in Gary Moore's Since I Met You Baby. Cue clip.
Used to wake up in the morning with a aching head. I couldn't remember anything I'd said. Friends told me I was getting out of line, but why's it for you, honey, out there in the town? Since I met you, baby, you made a new man of me. Well, since I met you, baby, I'm happy as a man could be.
Okay, form 3 is again a kind of an extension and variation of the 12-bar blues, which includes a 2-5-1 turnaround, but also has a further change in the middle. So this is jazz blues, and it kind of sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all is the same from the 1 to the 4, but when we get back to the 1, we get this quick change. And then 2, 5, 1. Now, there was a lot of quick changes in there, and you may not have been able to keep up. But what happened after we got back from our time on the 4 chord back to the 1 chord, then we moved down to this, which is a 6 chord. Now 6 chords, if they obey the rules of chords in the key, would normally be a minor chord. But this one is not. This one is still a dominant 7th chord. It may look weird because I've got my hands scrunched up, but it's just an F sharp 7. Then we went to the 2 chord, B minor. Then we went to our 5 chord, E7. And then the quick changes were simply a cycle round the 1, that 6 chord, which is a dominant 7, not minor, back to the 2, then the 5, back to the 1. So it was like... An example of this can be found in Johnny Lang's Rack 'Em Up. But this time I think his 2 chord is not minor. I think it's a 7th chord. So that would be like... Anyway, cue clip.
Yeah, I used to shoot a little pool, rock on up, rock on up, rock on up, rock on up. Till the day you was dead, that's all I ever said was rock on up.
So form 4 is a variation, not with additional chords this time, but a variation of form 1, but a change in order. Instead of 1-4-5 progression, form 4 is a 1-5-4 progression. Most famously, as you'll be familiar with, Key to the Highway. So Key to the Highway goes from A to E to D. Cue clip.
I got the key to the highway. I'm built out and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here walking is most too slow.
Form 5 is a minor blues. Now there's a couple of variations of minor blues, but the simplest one is what we call a minor 1-4-5. So that's quite handy in terms of a frame of reference, because everybody who plays blues knows what a 1-4-5 is and the distance between each of those, where to find the 1 chord, the 4 chord and the 5 chord. So all we do for a minor 1-4-5 is simply make all the chords in the progression minor. So in the key, what we were doing our other examples in, we would just make that A minor, our 4 chord would be D minor, or D minor 7 if you want to add some soul in there. And then our 5 chord, again, it's our E, but this time instead of an E dominant 7, it's going to be an E minor 7 or an E minor. To our 4 chord, which is D minor 7, and back to our 1 chord. A great example of a minor 1-4-5 is Tin Pan Alley by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Cue clip.
See what was going on. Things are still hot down there. Couldn't stay very long. Hey, hey, hey.
farthest place I've ever been. People down there, living for that whiskey, wine, and gin.
And lastly, form 6, and this is the one that not enough people know about, and certainly not enough people know how to solo over it because the minor pentatonic doesn't help you, is what I call a gospel blues. Very distinctive because it's in a different time signature than all the other blues forms. It's in 3/4 time. So you'd be counting 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And that will give you 4 bars of 3/4 time. So let's take a look at the chords. Now we're going to do this in A, and we're going to start with the 1 chord, and we're going to play 4 bars of this 1 chord. Now it's not a dominant 7th 1 chord like we have done in other forms. This is just a standard major chord. Start with that, play 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Then we move to the dominant 7th version of this same chord. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Then we move to the 5 chord. 1, 2, the 4 chord, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Now notice that that is also just a major chord. Next, things go a little bit crazy. Don't be scared. We go to the sharp 4 diminished. Okay, if this was the 4, which was our D, sharp 4 is obviously a D sharp. The diminished chord that we're going to play is a diminished 7th chord. Sounds like that. Okay, and in terms of fingers and frets, we're playing nothing on the E string. We're playing 6A, 7D, 5G, 7B, and 5E. Okay, so we're going from that. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Back to familiar territory and the safety of the 1 chord. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Down to the 6th chord, which is an F sharp minor. 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. To the 2 chord, which is a B minor. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And then the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Then back to the 1 chord for a couple of quick changes. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3 to the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3 to the 4 minor. 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, and then the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Now that 5 chord right at the end may also be an augmented 5 chord. Now don't let that language freak you out either. An augmented chord is simply a chord, instead of having the ingredients of a 1, a 3, and a 5, which makes it sound like it has a 1, 3, and a sharp 5. So it has that kind of bond, tension, mystery kind of vibe to it. A version of this gospel blues progression is probably most famously known by Peter Green when he was with Fleetwood Mac and the song Need Your Love So Bad. But John Mayer also more recently borrowed this progression and put his own lyrics to it for his song I'm Gonna Find Another You. Cue clip.
It's really over. You made your stand. You got me crying. As was your plan. But when my loneliness is through, I'm gonna find another you. You take your sweaters.
Okay, so that is the form of the gospel blues, and you can see how that can trip people up. So that's all for today's lesson. You can grab the tab and the chord charts from the link below. If you've liked this lesson, then please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. If you'd like anything else tackled, then I'll be more than happy to take your suggestions. This is Phil from 15 Minute Guitar Practice saying bye for now. Cheers.